It wasn't that much of a blowout, though. I mean, it was, BG had the upper hand in that game, but that score to me is a little deceiving. They kind of broke it open late and really caused a wide margin there, but those two teams are closer than that. BG is not, 36 points better than Exeter is. I think BG is better than Exeter, and I look for them to win, but their problem is holding on to the football. They've fumbled a ton this year. I think they put the ball on the ground like 10 times last week against Keene. They ended up getting away with it. That was a crazy, crazy game. 18-8. I mean, how often do you see a final like that in any level of football? But BG needs to take care of the football tomorrow. They can't afford those type of mistakes against a team like Exeter.
That's something that we've heard an awful lot of, is the Bishop Girton Cardinals putting the ball on the ground. You're right, 18-8. They had to overcome an 8-0 deficit in the second half. Their offense wasn't moving the ball at all, even with Andy Vallis behind center. They finally picked it up a little bit there in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter, and they were able to come away with the win. We mentioned Exeter, of course, 7-6 over Timberlane. Both of these teams' defenses seem to be rounding in the shape at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're both good football teams. Timberlane kind of snuck up a little bit, despite the fact that they had Derek Fury coming back. They kind of snuck up. I think their quarterback, Eric Hatton, had a big year this year, which helped them give teams another thing that they had to worry about when they prepared for Timberlane. They were able to knock off Exeter in the regular season meeting, which gave them the number 2 seed. But Exeter, they found a way to win that game last week on the road, setting up the 4th straight matchup between BG and Exeter. Bill Ball is a great football coach. He's got an outstanding program. They've got great facilities over there. Same thing with Bishop Girton. I just like the Cards. I think they have a better defense than Exeter has, and I think BG's defense this year is really what's carrying them, because I think their offense is good, but it's not great.
Oh, I mentioned that earlier, the Pinkerton-Nashua South game from last season, 14-2, maybe not as close as that score indicates. The Division II state championship last year was as close as the score says it would be. 14-13, Exeter blocked a Bishop Girton extra point before scoring their game-winning touchdown and kicking the extra point after that. So that actually broke up a string of back-to-back state championships for Bishop Girton. So the Cardinals, the players that were on that team last year, will be looking to get a little bit of revenge when it matters the most.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they want revenge. They want to go out, especially a kid like Andy Vallis. BG's got a pretty young football team, but Vallis is their leader.
Scary to think of.
Yeah, it is scary. But the fact is that they want to go out there and, kind of seek a little revenge and win that title and bring it back to Nashua for Bishop Girton. I just think that's going to be a whale of a football game. Please, don't let that 45-9 game fool you. These two teams are closer than that.
Yeah, this will definitely be one of the better ones. These two teams, these two coaching staffs, they know each other so well that you almost think that regular season game will be completely forgotten about by the time we have 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon for the kickoff. Quickly on to Division 5, another 1-3 game. The St. Thomas Aquinas Saints from Dover. They will be taking on the 1-seed Pelham Pythons. Pelham looking to go back-to-back undefeated state champs for the second time in a row in Division 5.
Yeah, I mean, Pelham, they're taking on a former power in St. Thomas. I mean, Rod Watton has been around for a long time. Guy's got 22 championships on his resume. A lot of those from when he was coaching in Maine at Marshwood High School, which is just over the border in Elliott. But Pelham has been the team to beat. They actually beat the Saints in the regular season meeting. That was on the road in Dover. 17-3 was the final. I think the big story of that game, St. Thomas' starting quarterback Jack McNevin did not play in that game, had an ankle injury. But Pelham, I think, just has too much. Joe D'Angelo, tremendous quarterback, and they've also got Bruce Vieira, who was one of the runners-up for our Mr. Football Award last year as a junior. He's a senior this year. He almost had 100 yards in that game, 99 on 25 carries. I just think Pelham's going to be too much, especially with the home game tomorrow for St. Thomas to overcome.
And you look at how they both got here. The Pythons defeated Kearsarge 28-6. St. Thomas had to go into Gill Stadium, take on the Trinity Pioneers. That was another kind of a back-and-forth game. We heard from Rich Keefe, who was at the game there last week and will be there this week, I believe. And 21-15 was the final, knocking off the Pioneers. A great season for them. But the Saints continue on. Again, that was a very, very good win to go on the road for the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, the weather conditions obviously last Saturday were not very good. A lot of rain, although, at Gill Stadium, you've got the artificial turf, which is a little bit easier to play on in bad weather conditions. I think the problem with tomorrow, it's going to be bright and sunny, but it's going to be darn cold and a little windy too, so that'll affect the passing game.
Yeah, that could be something to watch for. On to Division 6, we'll have our first ever Division 6 state championship game tomorrow. Another 1-versus-3 game. The Franklin Golden Tornadoes taking on a team from Litchfield, the Campbell Cougars. The 3 seed there. This is a pretty good story for the Cougars. A fairly new team already playing in the championship game.
Yeah, they've been playing varsity football here in New Hampshire for 5 years. They've made the playoffs 3 of those 5 years, so it's not often that you start a program basically from scratch. I mean, Campbell, a relatively new high school coming out of Litchfield. It's not often when you start a program from scratch and you're making the playoffs pretty much on a regular basis, so good job by Coach Mark Prindeville and his whole entire staff. They've got a great quarterback in Kyle Canada, a running quarterback who has the ability to throw the football, had a couple of touchdown passes in the game last week. When you look at Franklin, they've got a bunch of different guys that can hurt you, but the big name that you want to watch out for, Austin Turner, had a couple of touchdowns in that victory over Winnisquam in the division semifinals, had over 100 yards in the game. He's their workhorse, carrying the ball 26 times. Franklin beat him relatively easily in the first meeting during the regular season, and that game was in Litchfield, 22-7. I like Franklin in this game strictly because they have the stronger program. They've been around longer, and I just like the Golden Tornadoes. I think that is a very cool team nickname, by the way.
Franklin trying to turn around a little bit of history over the last couple of years. They went to the championship in Division 5 in both 2005 and 2006, losing to Bishop Brady. Their most recent one by a score of 49-21. That was really no shame in giving up that many points to Bishop Brady because they did that to pretty much everybody that year. But they'll be looking to turn it around after missing out on the finals last year. They'll be trying to stop a string of back-to-back state losses. Their last victory in the state championship, 1991, Pete, when it was Class M and S. We did not have divisions back then. It was Class M and S when they beat Newport, who Campbell beat last week. They won that game 28-14. So it's been a while for Franklin as well.
Yeah, that was a big win by Campbell. I mean, going to Newport, first of all, it's a heck of a bus ride.
That's a long
from
one,
Litchfield to Newport. It takes forever to get there. We kind of joke about Keene all the time being, sort of the wasteland for all these teams from this part of the state and the seacoast going all the way over to Keene. Well, try taking a drive up to Newport. I mean, it's beautiful. That Lake Sunapee region is great, especially in the fall. But they've got a good football program. Larry Carl does a great job with the Tigers. And, for Campbell to go there and pick up their first postseason win ever in school history, that was a big win. Can they top that this week with a win at Franklin? I'm not so sure, but great story just having the Cougars in that game.
Pete, if these 4 games are anywhere close to what we saw a week ago with the 9 games we had covered here on Super Saturday last week, I think we're going to be in for quite a day tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun. The bottom line is it's the final day of football. Yeah, there's some Turkey Bowl games coming up on Thanksgiving Day, and we'll have those games covered too, coverage of both the Nashua Turkey Bowl between Nashua North and Nashua South, and then the Manchester Turkey Bowl, Central and Memorial. This is really the cap of some of these kids' careers in high school. I say the word career. I should probably say, their high school time because it's not exactly a career. But this is it for a lot of those kids, and what a way to go out playing in a championship game. 4
championship games on Saturday afternoon from noon to 4. Chris Schuker and Pete Terrier will be with you the entire way. We will have our correspondents at all 4 games, coaches' interviews after the game, and it should be a great time tomorrow from noon to 4 here on Sports Radio WGAM The Game.